Hi, I'm Reshma Raj from Civil Engineering Department, SNS Institutions, Coimbatore. Last two parts we talked about stress analysis, and this is the final part of the stress analysis, and we are talking about the frame analysis. So, which is very important as like truss. So, as we talked about the truss is a framed structure. So likewise, there are not only truss is a frame structure, there are other frames also. And why these frames are very important is we nowadays are building the apartments in frame structure constructions, like not only apartments, if it is colleges, if it is like hospitals, if it is like malls or any other buildings, massive building we are constructing as like massive commercial buildings, we are constructing as like a framed kind of why we are constructing it as a framed kind is which is cost effective and it can distribute the load equally. And why the frame structure is so important is for somewhat they can able to hold some bearings and all. So let's dive deeply on the frame analysis. What is the frame analysis means? Multi-forced member are generally known as frames. So not only one, multi-forced member. Frames are commonly used to support various external loads. I talked about it can distribute the loads evenly. So on the figure you can able to see one kind of frame that can able to hold a sack of 100 kg easily. So how the frame is being constructed, you can able to see like 0.8 meter. So in that one diagonal member is going to support the cantilever beam that carrying the sack. So why we are considering frame is like the frame should be constructed in such a way that they can distribute the load evenly, and also certain members are very important that can able to withhold the load. So bearings, and it what I'm talking about is called bearings. So one of the main advantages why we are considering frames nowadays is the foremost one is the speedy construction. And why this is speedy construction is due to the simplicity in its shape, that means in its geometry. So consists of only columns and beams as the main structural elements, or partially we can talk about floor, because we are constructing as a skeleton member, will be constructing only the beams and columns at the first place. Next, the frames are very rigid and stable, able to they can able to resist maximum vertical and lateral loads it can. And because of the nature of distributing the load so evenly. Next is reduced dead load. So reduced dead load means absent of thick shear wall. We can able to tell it has very reduced dead load. And roofed over at an earlier stage. Every floor slab being finished to become an cover to protect the lower floors from sun and rain, and offer large unobstructed floor areas without obstacles between columns. What we can able to talk about here is the columns from top floor to bottom floor, it is perfectly arranged in a same place. That will not disturb the floor area of any rooms that we are constructing or floors we are constructing, or like if you are constructing halls itself, it cannot affect the floor area. Then another very important advantage is it offer flexible utilization of space, because I talked about the previous point as unobstructed floor areas. That's the reason it can able to flexible utilization of space. So next is adaptable to almost any shape and easily altered within limits of frame, and it is regular or non-regular grid system we can able to make it, which is very adaptable on spatial arrangement too. And off-site preparation possibly we can like what is off-site preparation is we can construct the frame in the outdoor unit, or like uh, to a unit that constructs some frames uh, prior, then that frame is being transported to the place and it is being erected in the building, which is known as prefabricated construction, that is using precast concrete or structural steel elements. If you are using concrete means precast concrete, or like any kind of structural elements. Next, it may be designed to accommodate some movements. I talked about the bearings. So this movement is very important during the earthquake structures. So during earthquake, it can deform its shape and come back to its original position. So that can be possible in framed structures. That what it is telling. Not a massive deformation, but a slight deformation. We can able to adapt. And acceptable distribution of natural light. Window openings can be provided easily on external walls. Like in a framed structure, one floor having the openings means the next floor replicate the same design. That's what it is meaning. And easy to design structurally, including, so almost the frame structure, every floor is equally constructed and equally designed, and so the design or the geometry, everything will be might is simple to make it into a 2D dimensional diagrams. It will be very easy for a frame structure. And some of the principal factors that affecting the choice of frames, uh, while we are using the frame structure, depending upon the floor area, depending upon the types, number of floors, we have to consider the foundation. Most of the foundation might be pile foundations, or pile or mat like a foundation we are be using. And standardization of members or design. So we have to, some standardized members we have to use commonly in frame construction. We have to uh, watch carefully the span and floor loads, and also we have to, those are fire resistance. We have to take care of the fire resistance, because every building should be fire resistance, so that requirements we have to follow. Then it is very easy to maintain, so the maintenance consideration we have to follow, but it is very easy though. And the integration of architectural and structural elements uh, is quite difficult. That is one of the factor we have to keep following, because for a frame structure we can't expect so much of architectural work, but still we have to integrate, means we have to make it as a wise good plan we have to make. So what are the main truss and frame differences is, trusses members are subjected to tension and compression only, but here in frames at least one member is subjected to bending, shear or torsion. And this truss is composed of rods, but frames composed of bars. And truss usually is so more simple to calculate and more weight effective also, but it is usually more simple to manufacture and to place in tight layout. Tight layout means we are talking about the prefabricated structures. So advantages of, we can altogether we can tell it as an very advantageous if you are using truss and frame, and like both are cost effective, both can be installed quickly even without any heavy equipment to lift them. And also unique properties of a triangular object allow trusses to span across long distances, and a triangular truss maintains its shape preventing shifts and sag, and also thus giving stability to the structure. The shape of the triangle allows all the weight applied to the sides to be redistributed down and away from the center. That's all about the truss and frame analysis. Um, for this section, we covered basic necessary informations about truss and frame analysis. Thank you. Until next month, we meet again.